I want to kind of start with something that I think is really important when you're working in the sustainability space, which is this is especially applicable to student organizations and keeping them strong, which is um, don't be um, taken by the idea that you need one strong leader. Sustainability, I would say, is about service leadership and network leadership in my mind. So the idea is you're creating a culture of leadership within those organizations that is able to endure over a long um, period at the school, and it's able to go through its many iterations and different personalities that show up and want to thrive in that space. But the goal should less be let's get a president for next year, and more, how can we enhance the leadership qualities of everyone in this space and have them continue to go out and connect with others and kind of spread the mission or the goals of the organization, whether that's doing events or doing kind of ESD programs at the university level. I think that's a good space to start with to kind of throw off the traditional kind of goals that you might have in stewarding nascent student organizations that have this traditionally high turnover.
Mm-hmm. Thanks a lot. Kim, would you like to add something on that?
Around student engagement,
Yeah.
I think that for all of us, that's an issue of turnover, because you might have this this new project with some new students who get very excited about that, and then they graduate. So to create programs that can live on, it has to be embedded into the system. So whether that's part of student government, that's something that the staff then have some type of a program that can, again, be developed in existence so new students can enter, and there's some type of structure there where they can now engage in an initiative perhaps that was started by other students who are no longer there. So the mentoring I was talking about with faculty is the same model for the students. If we have students who have been trained 1 year before they graduate, say the seniors, then to have to train the juniors or the sophomores or freshmen, and then allow that program to transcend, as Robert said, an individual leader. And I really like that term of network leadership and allowing those programs to endure. Of course, some initiatives can, or the enthusiasm of students, you don't want to block that. You want to let that flow. And if something comes to a natural end, a project ends, then keeping those types of things finite within within a year or a 2-year, maybe even a month type of program. So they don't depend upon a charismatic leader of one student, or as you said, a president or one teacher. I would recommend some kind of short-term types of projects that allow people to feel like they can engage quickly, maybe within just one class, maybe within just one day. So we partner with several core network organizations. We happen to have this group called Hands On Greater Portland, and students can sign up for a 3-hour project that they can do within the community, or they can partner with longer-term commitments, something that can last for actually it's kind of a value-added model. You can start with, say, 10 hours in one term, and then the next term you do that as a research project, and then we're in a quarter system, so the third term you could then do an internship. So I think that building those types of structures that allow for various levels of commitment are an easier way to help something endure without having to put as many resources into those projects.
Mm-hmm.
I want to respond, add one or two things to that. As a student, and I work with student organizations, and that's sort of my day job here, is kind of, I've noticed that a lot of students join student organizations for the relationships, for the friendships, for the people they're going to meet who are going to, maybe they're going to link them to an internship, but maybe they're also just there to enjoy the personalities of the people in front of them, to have a good time, to make that part of their college experience. So I think that's something to remember too. With sustainability, we can get pretty big in our heads of all the ideas we want to accomplish. So to remember that the people in front of you are just people who are excited to be there, excited about these goals, and to do that cohort building that, Kim, you've been speaking to before. And on that kind of idea of short projects, that's actually a very good trick of kind of motivational tools in the ways kind of our brains work, and we need kind of the short victories. Some people need the short victories more than others in order to keep us going down the road. So it's really helpful to have those short projects that get people feeling like they're doing something, feeling like they're part of that organization, whatever its goals, whether it's more of a volunteer-oriented or more of an operationally oriented sustainability organization.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, very nice insights. I think on these opportunities of to engage students, I'd like to throw in also one example here in Europe. They have won actually the ESD prize of UNESCO also. It's called the Green Offices. It's a new student initiative where students actually in collaboration with faculty at universities establish green offices so to engage people for sustainability within institutions. And I think kind of the faculty brings in the continuity, whereas the students bring in the more innovational and inspirational, active, dynamic part of work in those offices. And so this might be also one opportunity or example how to engage students with this kind of activities. Finally, before coming to our last round, I have one more question here by Stefan. It is just a second. It is in August. There will be the UNESCO's biennial meeting of the International Network of Teacher Education Institutions in Uppsala in Sweden. And there Stefan will have a panel together with Shepard Urania from Swedish Agency for ESD, the Swedest. And they want to launch a global platform similar to the Young Masters project, GoJump, designed especially for teacher education. And the idea is here to bring together students from all over the world that want to learn more and engage themselves for ESD. And the content would be to introduce to ESD and local forms of implementation, share those ideas, and with peers from over the world, discuss those ideas with finally launch a proper project in their own neighborhood. So have you any idea and knowledge about similar platforms or projects around there? Robert, you maybe you'd like to start, or?
So I do have an incoming student at our program who his goal is he's coming from the activist space, working in renewable energy in his state, and his goal is to do just as you say, to educate people, to give them the tools, the organizational tools to come together, and then to go out and do projects in the state that he's coming from. But I'm not as familiar as I think Kim might be with some of those more global platforms of education that are out there, and I would love to be able to link him into those and learn more about what's already present beyond the kind of massive online course kind of space that I think doesn't suit quite everyone.
Mm-hmm. So Kim, maybe do you like to respond also?
Yeah, and I know there was a broader question earlier that we haven't addressed about online courses as well, and online teaching platforms. So there are things that are in existence that through the RCEs, for example, and both of Shepard and Stefan, I believe, are involved in RCEs too. So I think checking out for youth, the RCE, the Global Youth Group, as well as the UN Youth. Those are programs that are available on Facebook too. So you can look at those types of groups, see the projects they're doing. Sometimes they take on initiatives. Certainly, like the youth ambassador type programs allow people to look at particular big scale initiatives such as the Agenda 2030, we should all be finding our connections through the current 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And within the education one, number 4, the Education for Sustainable Development, which is 4.7 specifically, we have the global action programs that have emerged out of that. So with UNESCO, I think that there's some opportunities there to partner, particularly around some priority action areas around faculty development as well as youth empowerment and mobilization. Those two areas are in development, so it's something that your teams could be really be the early vanguard in developing some new networks. I think that looking at the existing ones, like you said, with green offices, as well as the new one, Opaduca, is growing in Europe, the Opaduca project. So anyway, I think that they have, there are others that are already growing, so they can either build something new if they want, or tap into some of those existing efforts.